we're right at the beginning phases of the AI, takeover. And even if you're paying attention to what's happening in the world, you have to second guess what you're seeing now on the screen.
Brad Skistimas is a singer-songwriter from North America who shot to prominence during the COVID era under the band name 5 Times August. While all the other, so-called anti-establishment bands drank the Kool-Aid, Brad's songs against tyranny became anthems within the resistance movement. He's not letting up either. Brad, great to see you again, mate. Did life ever go back to normal for you? Once the COVID lockdowns and mandates were lifted, did you ever go back to just, singing tunes, normal?
No, I don't know how you go back after everything that we have gone through. And the thing is, nothing was ever addressed. I mean, we had a worldwide situation, and I say this every day on X pretty much, but nobody anywhere in any country has held for anything at all since COVID. So, it kind of just wafted away, and we have all these things that we need to address, from vaccine injury to crime, just general crimes against humanity across the board that just get swept under the rug. So I'm still talking about it. I'm still bringing it up. I mean, I'm going back to work doing other projects musically, but it's a shame that the entire world can live through that and kind of just let it just waft away into the air and just be forgotten about.
Has it surprised you how many people seem to, at least on the face of it, because they might just be pretending, but on the face of it, seem unconcerned with actually getting any form of justice whatsoever for what happened?
Well, the thing that's most surprising to me has been, a lot of people that cheered me on. And were really welcoming my voice during that time. Now that the new administration is in, a lot of people have let their guard down and become complacent, and are in a weird, stagnant, let's just wait and see mode. And I've been critical of the new administration, and a lot of people have already forgotten about what the tone was prior to Trump being sworn in was, hey, we're going to get the bad guys now. And, over the last 10 months or so, that attitude has kind of fell to the wayside, and we've had distraction after distraction on top of that. So what's been disappointing is seeing a lot of people that cheered me on kind of start getting mad at me for still calling out the same things. And I'm still calling out because, like I said, nothing has been addressed. So I feel like it's still a conversation that needs to be had.
Well, I'm the same, mate. I'm the same. But you get called black-pilled, don't you? You get called a doom monger as well because you're not willing to let it go. But when I look at, Trump coming in this time and basically the rhetoric, as you say, it kind of was the same when he came in 2016. We're going to arrest Hillary and all that. None of that ever happened at all. It just seemed to be something that you could sell to the public. And then actually when it comes to it, like you say, distraction after distraction. What's the situation like in the US now in terms of, vaccine injuries, deaths, and the pursuing of justice for that? Because, here it's kind of accepted now, which is mad, given how much, abuse we took for talking about the vaccine. But it's kind of widely accepted, even in the mainstream media, that, yeah, okay, people died, people were injured, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of prominent figures. I just posted, the other day, a few quotes that they're comfortable saying now that, mistakes were made, and they were never going to be perfect, or maybe we oversold the vaccine, or you've got Fauci saying, a while back he was saying, the 6-foot rule kind of just appeared. You have Mark Zuckerberg admitting that we censored true information. So they've all admitted in one way or another that, all of that crap that we went through was based on nothing. And so, the conversation now is, we do have I think the conversation has virtually been almost ignored by the current administration. I think people are excited that Kennedy is now, in charge at the HHS, but even still, that conversation about vaccines, I feel like, we should have had 10 months of sharing vaccine injury stories to at least build awareness. At the very least, we could have been doing that, but we have. Seeing a lot of films come out that I think are going to be important to pushing the conversation forward. You have Del Bigtree just put out a brand new documentary, and I have some of my songs in the documentary coming out called Plague of Corruption, which is going to be premiering online on November 16th. And that's actually narrated by Liam Neeson, which is a pretty big star to have backing up this conversation. I mean, that film, Plague of Corruption, kind of covers a wide swath of the corruption in big pharma. But these kind of films, and I think in entertainment and media, as I've been a part of, you can reach people in another way through art and film and music. So I think that's going to have to play a big part in keeping this conversation moving forward.
100%. I mean, to be honest, music, art, films, Hollywood in particular, I mean, it's been used to push a narrative on society since its inception, hasn't it? In terms of the state-approved narrative and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, why not use that? Why not use that to do good? Because obviously all I see in terms of people's reaction to what's going on, whether it be in America, Trump administration in general, is online. And Brad, I'm old enough to know that like online isn't real life, but I'm all the way over here in the UK. So how are people that are, supportive of Trump in the beginning, for instance, and, maybe are still supportive of him, supportive of what you're doing, supportive of Del Bigtree and these films coming out, how do they square that in terms of Trump's still continued support for the jab and, claimed to be the godfather of it, and also this recent, rewarding of Pfizer with, God knows how many million?
Yeah. I don't know how you do it at this point. Honestly, I don't know how you can trust what this administration is doing after what we all went through and there being no accountability. I mean, I have to admit that, I had faith that, the good guys were going to come in and rescue us at one point. But see, my story is more along the lines of I wasn't very political prior to COVID, and then started releasing those songs throughout COVID, and was sort of found myself in that political conversation, which I didn't even see as a political conversation. It just felt like a right versus wrong conversation. But I ended up meeting a lot of very interesting people, a lot of important people along the way, and people that and I was even in rooms with Trump at various times, not one-on-one, but getting to see him in a more intimate setting. And so, and then I met people that knew him that really had a lot of faith in him. So I was, maybe I was late to the game or a little naive, but I was willing to see it through the election this last time, because I had too many friends and I'm trying to make up my own mind. And my thought was, well, if this is going to be different, then we're going to see it real fast. And I gave it a month. I was like, okay, well, if you had told me 2 years ago, all the people that were in office now were going to be in charge of things again, I would have been like, awesome, that's great. And now we're 10 months into it, and not a person arrested, nothing addressed in COVID. More distractions. We all, got a lot of war situation going on. There's just more problems added to it, and so I don't know how anybody looks past it at this point. I just can't. It gets to a point where you have to go. And especially with Epstein stuff. That was a whole other layer to it. So, it's one thing after another where after a while, you have to check your integrity and be like, I can't keep justifying this because, I feel like a fool. And so I don't know how anybody does it at this point. There should be a lot more pressure, on this administration to address some of those major issues that we wanted addressed. But what seems to be happening is, I think a lot of people are enjoying watching the show, as you'll see online. Enjoy the show, and you'll see the popcorn emojis and the memes of the guy pulling up the chair, and they just want their sound bites. I think people have become complacent in that respect, of just enjoying the show and being a part of it from behind their computer screen, and not really wanting accountability, but playing along with this idea that there's the plan, and you just wait, just a little bit longer, a little bit longer, just wait. And I can't do that anymore. And like there was a point where I was willing to entertain that, and after a while, it just was like, I can't. And maybe that's black pilling, like you said. I don't really see it as that. I just see it as, that's just what it is. If we're supposed to make our decisions based on what we're seeing time and time again, I don't think that if there's some intricate master plan being, unfolded behind the scenes, I don't think the average person is going to even be able to compute the layers and layers of all that would entail to the point to where they go, oh, well, I guess it's okay that all those people died during COVID, from the shots. I guess it's okay. We can look past that now because the plan, now we see it. I don't think there's an end result that justifies any of it.
No, I think what gets me as well is and it's not just America, you find it everywhere, particularly Britain, but it's that tribal thing where you will excuse something that one side does. And I've seen Trump do a few things that I've looked at his supporters, even like the Epstein list for a start, all that kind of stuff. And you're like, mate, if Biden did that, or if Kamala had done that, you'd be going absolutely spare. But instead, it's like, well, no, my team's winning. And I'm the same as you,
right,
mate. I don't want to be told I'm winning. I want to feel like I'm winning. I want to I want to feel winning. I want to experience winning. In terms of RFK Jr., because I know obviously you've got connections with Children's Health Defense, obviously Del Bigtree as well. They obviously know RFK. I mean, what's your thoughts there? That maybe is he there to do good? Because I've seen ideas coming from both sides that maybe he's there, but basically his wings are clipped. Like, what the hell can I do? And then others saying, well, no, it was always nonsense anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I have too many really good friends that know him, and I've laid into him a lot the last couple months in particular. And I've been trying to sort of size up the situation and figure out what's there, because there is a long history, of him voicing and being a figure for our cause, for the vaccine injured. And I don't see it as it was fluff all along. I think his intentions are good being in there, but I think, like you said, his wings have to be clipped in some way, or he's just not strong enough. I don't understand why we're even watching this game, because, a lot of people will say online, well, he's just got to play along. He's got to do this in order to get that, and he's got to play the game, and he has to say this. He has to say the measles shots are good now, or he has to say Operation Warp Speed was good. And I'm like, why? We all have the recordings of 20 years of him talking about vaccines. We all have what he said prior to joining Trump about warp speed. There's no sense in us entertaining this idea that, he's fooling anybody by saying the complete opposite of what we've grown to know about his views. So I don't see the point in it. I wish he would be, a little stronger in his stances. I get that, maybe he's in there and he's trying to walk on eggshells, but the people that he is trying to work with are going to, you can be as careful as you want to be. They're going to destroy you anyway. So, it's of my opinion that if you're at the top and you're put in a position of leadership, and even if it's an illusion, play that illusion for the public and push it, and be that person in charge that you're supposed to be. And, I'm just surprised that so many people are willing to go along with that and justify it over and over and over again. Like, we have to play this game. There's no reason to. We all know what his opinions are about everything. So So let's just get on with it.
I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're very much aware of the growing surveillance state emerging all around us. Whatever you do, you're being watched and your data being harvested. This is why Glenn and Eric Mader formed the Privacy Academy. Join the community designed to help overwhelmed, non-techie people like me learn how to get private online. Head over to privacyacademy.com/Icke and learn how to exit the surveillance state with regular webinars exclusively for you. Now, back to the show. Yeah, I'm the same. Well, what's the point in being stood next to the hornet's nest if you're not going to give it a boot? Like, you can't appease that. You know, I think people wanted him to be there for that very reason. Like you say, that he's going to go, no, he's going to shake it up. It's going to, you know, we're going to get some real change. And it's the same, you know, like I'm not a big political person anyway. Like I talk about politics, but I don't like politics, and I don't think it's going to make a difference. In terms of America, though, because I'm interested in this, because here in the UK, mate, like it's hella divided, like it's really divided. But if you believe social media, it's freaking really divided. And you know, like if social media, for instance, was real life here, everyone would be fighting in the street, you know. So I understand that it's not necessarily the real, you know, version of reality. In America, it appears like it's division and division and division. Is it like that when you go to the store or to the cafe or to the diner or whatever, or are most people just kind of getting on with it?
I mean, that's the funny thing. It's just the internet. I mean, you go to the store and it's just the real world out there. And I think that people need to recognize that more. I think that we could all use, you know, a detox from the internet. I wouldn't be sad if the whole thing shut down for a while, because, you know, I think a certain weight would be lifted off of us, I think, spiritually and mentally, if the internet just went away for a bit and it'd give us a chance to breathe, because we do get sucked into these portals, you know, and we tend to, you know, that the internet manipulates our brains in ways that we can't even really comprehend, but we do get sucked in, and there is a weight and a depression involved. And if you think the world is what you're seeing through your screen, you know, you've got to step outside, go take a walk, because that's not it at all. And we have to, you know, that's the problem with humanity right now, I think, in general, is that, you know, we're getting so sucked into our screens that we're forgetting that just standing outside and looking around and, you know, appreciating the weather can do a lot more good for us than whatever it is you're about to post on social media.
Oh, absolutely. And I think back, you know, because I'm an 80s kid, so I remember, you know, long before the internet, where, you know, you had the TV screen in the corner of the room and it shouted its propaganda at you at like 6 p.m. news, 9 p.m. news. But that was it. For the rest of the time, you could just be away from it. Whereas now, because of the internet, because of social media, and particularly like the amount of news, some of it absolute nonsense, of course, that's on social media, it's like you can't get away from it, because all the time you're in your house or you're driving or whatever, you know, constantly ping. It's almost like the TV screen is now following you around 24 hours a day, just shouting in your ear, "Oi, have you seen this? Get annoyed about this, be frightened of this." But then on the other hand, of course, Brad, like, you know, your songs, what we're doing here, without the internet, you don't get it across. So it's finding that balance, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, I think there's an important balance there that, you know, people will say, you know, well, you got to know what's going on in the world. And you do to some degree, but also, you know, we're right at the beginning phases of the AI, you know, takeover. And even if you're paying attention to what's happening in the world, you have to second guess what you're seeing now on the screen. And so I think what you actually see, you know, maybe we're at also the beginning stages of finding that balance, because like you said, like, I'm of your generation, 80s, 90s kids were the last generation to grow up and remember a childhood without the internet. We grew into it. And then there's this other generation that has been completely absorbed in it since the day they were born. And so I think humanity is having to find that balance between this exciting new thing, which is the internet, and staying grounded in reality. So I think you'll see, you know, a retreat into finding that being grounded in reality. You're seeing a lot of parents our age that are trying to take control of their life in ways that we've kind of let go of, whether it's homeschooling or wanting to get some land and start farming and grow their own food again. I think that we collectively are feeling this detachment from reality, and we've got to figure out, how to find that balance. And so that's why things are so weird right now. And it seems like there's a lot of division, but the reality out there is, I don't think there's as much division as we see online. There's just a lot of people catering to that game for clicks, and so it gives us that illusion. But if we can start going outside more, taking walks and talking to our neighbors, I think that's where it begins. Is we have to take control of our communities. It starts in your home with your family, then your neighbors, then your neighborhood, and it branches out from there. And when we become stronger that way, that's how I think we take charge, instead of waiting for this situation where Trump or whoever it may be next comes in and swoops in and saves the day and fixes everything. I don't see that being the solution to anything. It starts with us and in those smaller communities.
Absolutely. I think as well, like, I wonder how much of what's going on now, although it might appear to be completely unrelated, in terms of how people are, whether they are, suffering with mental health issues, or whether they're kind of and going inward as a result, or whether they're angry and lashing out, whatever, which I guess are just, expressions of the same thing maybe. How much of that is a hangover from the last 5 years, and the fact that no one's dealt with it, no one's got closure because no one's ever been held accountable. There's not been any justice. It's kind of like, I feel like as a society, we've been in essentially a domestic violence, psychological domestic abuse relationship with the state and its various branches for like 5 years. And then suddenly it's gone, yeah, off you go. As if there's not going to be some kind of mental hangover to that, where people, if it was, you'd come out of a psychological tormenting relationship, whatever, people would say, go into therapy, talk to someone, you need to, but no one's saying that for like 8 billion people or whatever. It's mad.
Yeah. Yeah, you have two kind of angers, I think, happening. You have the anger on the side of everybody who complied and everybody who followed along with, the official narrative from that time period, whether they, locked themselves in their home, masked up, and got the jabs, all those things. If you bring that up, they will angrily respond back to you. And I think it's because they don't want to address their bamboozlement. And then on the other side, you have this other anger from people like you and me who, we fought the good fight and we haven't seen any accountability on the other end. So it's upsetting. I mean, I still talk about it today. And, there is this assumption from people that do follow me. If you were to judge me based on just what I post on social media, you'd think I'm probably pretty miserable, but I'm just still calling it out every day. I'm not letting it control my life in that sense, externally. I'm hanging out with my kids during the day, and throughout the day, maybe I'll post something just as a reminder, just because I think it's important. I just want the rest of society to catch up. We have to have the conversation at some point. So, and we can't be angry about it. It has to be a civil discussion. And I think that's where the powers that be have been successful, is nobody wants to have the conversation because, they keep instilling that division online. Everybody thinks that conversation will be an angry one if we have it in person. And hopefully we can come back around at some point, and have that discussion. I think we just have to keep pushing on it and, know that we're not as divided as it appears online.
No, I hope not. And I think another aspect of it as well, Brad, is it's not even just, yeah, I want justice for lots of reasons, for lots of different people. But at the same time, for me, if no one's held accountable for what's gone on, if no one is punished essentially for what's gone on, if nothing changes from 2020 to now, then therefore the opportunity for that scam to be pulled again, for that trick to be pulled again, and for this whole thing to happen again is still there. It's almost like I'm kind of, yes, I'm annoyed at you for the past, but I'm also like, no, I want to make sure that this can't happen again. And the only way I think we can do that, mate,
Right.
is by calling it out, not letting it go, not rolling over and pretending it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that the entire infrastructure is in place now. What happened throughout COVID, you remember Vax passes and all the apps that were coming out, and they literally call them freedom passes. And so as we, lean more into, digital currencies and these conversations, is just in the UK as the new right to work through the app, right?
Yeah, the digital ID.
So the digital ID thing, and so that's what I mean. That wouldn't have been so easily to implement right now. It's easy to implement now because that stuff was put in place throughout COVID. And so, moving ahead, you have to be aware of that and be like, well, that's why we have to have the conversation. That's why we have to address these things, because they could put it back in place tomorrow, and they are putting it back in place, very quickly. So, hopefully people don't just roll over. And, that's one of my concerns with, the current administration is you hear certain rumblings that sound like echoes from the COVID years. And people that fought against that stuff are now kind of warming up to it just because it's got a different jersey on. So we have to be aware of that.
Yeah, same here. I can see it getting to a point where they probably don't think that Starmer can get through digital ID because he's so unpopular and hated across the board. And even many within his own party don't agree with it. So then we get given the alternative, which in our country is reform. They're being branded in the same way they branded Trump as an outsider. It's not a normal Republican, it's different. Trust me, trust the plan equivalent. And then they come in and say, oh, this is annoying. We don't want to bring in digital ID, but we have to. But it's going to be different because it's not them, because you can't trust them, can't trust Starmer. But you know us, man. You know us. We'll bring in a freedom-supporting digital ID. And what worries me is that there will be a portion, hopefully not many, but a portion of society that will go, oh, okay, yeah, well, I trust it if they're doing it.
Right. Yeah, it's branding and marketing. People seem to forget that. I mean, like, Trump is the epitome of political branding and marketing. His name is the thing, right? So that's a formula in politics now. I mean, it's just like a record label or a movie marketing to you, but it's under political branding. So, people need to be aware of this stuff, that when you're hearing what you want to hear, that's by design, and you have to wonder why you're getting to hear, why they're saying the things that they're saying, and 100%. Question it and really try to size them up. But also don't rely on that. I mean, that's the thing, is you can't expect. I just really want people to understand the power that they have, that we have collectively, and that our governments should be fearing us. It shouldn't be the other way around. And I just hope that we learn to grasp that understanding, and that we grasp it in a way that doesn't lead to ultimately, mass chaos and violence. It's just that we need to put our foot down at some point and say, hey, we're not going to put up with this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brad, where can people find you? Because I know you're on X. Whenever I say I'm on X, I always say for now, because I don't trust. When someone tells me they're about free speech, I rarely believe them, really. So where can people find your music and everything else that you're up to?
Yeah, you can just check out 5timesaugust.com. That's where you can sign up for the mailing list in case I get booted from social media. I'll still have my mailing list to reach out and let you know what I'm doing. You can support the music there. I got a new CD coming out in November, and called Counterfeit World. It's collected some of the songs that I've put out the last couple of years. And you can follow me on X. You can follow me on Facebook and Rumble or YouTube, wherever. I'm on all the social media platforms. So
magic. Cheers, Brad. It's great to catch up again, mate. It's been ages.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
I
been a
think
ride.
people have the same perception of me that I'm a miserable so-and-so, but, you know, it's just that's your persona sometimes. Then, like, I'm the same. When I'm with my kids, like, I'm just running around the house like a clown. But,
Yeah.
you know, we have to comment on the way the world is, unfortunately. But I'm with you, mate. I just hope people can come together and realize the power that they have. The power to say, no, not doing it enough. And to do it peacefully, like you say. Because we don't need violence. We don't need that.
Yeah, 100%. Stay rooted in what's true, what's important. You know, it's family, like you're saying. And, you know, otherwise just keep the conversation going and just put your foot down, say no. That's all we can do right now.
100%. Cheers, Brad. Take care, mate.
Thanks for having me.
See ya.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
That's all for the free section of this week's Gareth Icke Tonight. To watch the rest of the show, you can head over to Ickonic.com, where I'm joined by former Big Pharma exec turned whistleblower, Hedley Rees. We'll be discussing the profit over safety model of the pharmaceutical industry, as well as the conflict of interest within its regulatory bodies.
In 2006, the US Government Accountability Office issued a report which said that for every 250 drugs that enter development, only one got approved. Nearly all of manufacture and distribution is carried out by contract organizations, and they get paid whether the drug is approved or not.
Please click the link in the description and head over to Ickonic.com to continue watching. You can subscribe instantly for just £1.99. Good night.